versus like what we need to move and like get on the ground. And I think without taking you through each and every one of these, we pretty much came up with the need for, I guess, a space of understanding between the organization and philanthropy, as well as the audience and the organization. Spaciousness, sustainability, and leadership development were like our main focus. So like spaciousness, what we meant is like naturally the actual physical space, but more so like the head space and the communication space to develop organic, true, genuine relationships with your funders and in your organization, so that you can represent smaller, deeper things that in a way that doesn't feel so tight, contentious, where we find ourselves obeying these intangible, more like environmental rules that tend to be impediments to that communication. So some of these things then fall into like material needs and training, or funding not being directed to those with the most impacted leaders. So like oftentimes we find leadership with, or in organizations, or funding goes to organizations that have like the cookie cutter ED or best performing ED, you know, and has worn multiple hats, or has like this crazy acumen, not the organization that just took its base member and rose them up and through the ranks to ED, you know, because you don't have that acumen, or you just learned what a winner is, let alone how to be a winner. And, you know, like there's so many spaces or approaches that are unsaid that we felt like need to be like debunked and like purified in a way, so that the understanding can increase and that organizations can incubate leaders as well as incubate their missions, and so that funders and philanthropists can understand in totality, you know, like what that looks like, not a year rollout plan and I expect you to change a national issue, you know, or like a lack of understanding to like, yeah, we have general support funding and you have actual, you know, practical discrepancies, or like maybe you need space to have a leader train another leader to glorify fundraiser, you know, like let me this space to facilitate that relationship between the base and the philanthropists or funders and that kind of thing. And I think that what I ultimately said, or like what our goal was gonna be, was to create that space, is like to be in this, you know, very genuine, very honest, very transparent relationship, so that we're not sitting down and rolling out, you know, work plans and it's like, oh well, we have this intention and then we have to sunny side up it for you on like the we failed. It's like, nah, we took a risk. This risk, Devon actually made a good point where he said, you know, risk capital is not even talked about like that. It's like, oh, now we're putting out this money to do this thing and we expect this mission to be accomplished. And so when we spend back, should that mission not be accomplished, while we may have a ton of other work accomplished or a bunch of other growth occurred, we still have to like put it in that way and not say, you know, we failed at that thing, but that wasn't a bad investment because look at what we learned. This is a better approach. This is a better practice. And that's what we came up with.
Right. Concerned about getting into specifics because I think sometimes capacity needs can sometimes feel like we're being prescribed what we can apply for capacity needs, but our organizations actually have really varied capacity needs, and the movement has varied capacity needs. So I think overall, we left with a feeling like we need trusting relationship with philanthropy so we can actually share what our capacity needs are, and that the grants, resources, however you want to describe it, respond to the capacity needs that we're describing that we need met. And so we wanted to steer away a little bit from being too prescriptive in our report back, but others should jump in from the group as well if they want.
No, it was good.
Well, I just want to give an example of exactly what we were talking about, right? It's like the trust, and especially for groups on the ground, like really doing the work, and that like we have this one funder who I didn't know who they were that came in, we had one meeting with them, and they talked about what we did. I didn't know them from anybody. And then they told us to just send bullets of what we want, what we need. And I'm like, are we talking like 5,000? Are we talking like $1 million, right? So we just put a one pager together. This is what we can do for 5,000. This is what we can do for $1 million. And they gave us a 2-year, like our biggest grant we've ever got. We're 26 years old. But that trust and that multi-year funding of a big investment, because it was trust-based, our values were aligned, and it wasn't prescriptive, so we were able to really figure out what do we need to do to be nimble and to move, and that literally propelled our work to the next level. Like, so anyways, I just want to give that as an example.
Can I make a comment? I wasn't in this group, so I'm not trying to throw off anything that they presented. I just want to give an example of something that feels like some tension when we're asked about capacity, is that when you add in race or gender, then it feels like a trick question sometimes. Like when we're asked to say like what our capacity needs are, and then sometimes it's used against us like, oh, this is exactly why you can't do X, Y, Z. And so part of the trust piece is like, you don't know who you can trust for what reasons, because you can't, like, you know, it's like if you go to a job interview and they ask you, what are your weaknesses? You're not gonna say like, well, thank you for asking. The first thing is I've never done this job before. But that might be a little bit honest, like there's a couple of things on the job description like, but like if you want the job, we're not gonna say that. You like tend to say things within the context of like, sometimes I try way too hard or I care too much, and I feel like when the organization, when funders ask about capacity needs, it feels like a trick question in the same way. Like you have to say things that make it sound like you're a little bit, you can't like talk about your, like not necessarily weaknesses, but vulnerabilities around capacities because you're not really sure how it's going to be.
I'll just give an example of that. When I first came into my position about 10 years ago, we were in pretty dire straits, like to the point we were getting phone calls at the time from the electric company saying, we're gonna shut off your lights. It was tough times. And we got in front of a funder who likes to fund, likes to kind of come in and be the saving grace funder. And we put our best foot forward and were told that we were in too good of shape in order to receive their funding. And so here we were, I was like, you know, I need to sort of show them what we're doing and put our best work out there. But then it wasn't quite enough, or it was too much, and we would have really benefited from their funding in that moment. So it's that tension between how do we, you know, we really want to be honest about where we are and what we need, and is there such thing as too honest or the wrong spin?
Can I actually add to this? Sorry. I'm finding that there's a lot of things I have to say about this. Just to add to that, we're in a situation, I promise we're in a room with like 2 other organizations in New Orleans, and there's a funder that was asking us about capacity, and there was only like one white ED was a man in the room, and there was like all these things that he admitted to not being able to do, and I was like, in what world can you tell people that you actually don't know how to do your job? And they're gonna like, that's awesome, so we're gonna give you all of this. Because in my world as a black woman, I can't do that. I can't like, in front of people be like, this thing that you expect me to do really well, I actually don't know how to do it at all. Like, I try to figure that shit out like every day. Like, I be reading books and try to watch videos and YouTube to try to figure that out. Like I can't say that. And I'm not saying that because I'm making it up that I can't say that. I can't say that. You know what I mean? So like that's where I said like, you know, gender and race and all of this plays into that like discussion around capacity and what kind of support we really need and how you can ask for support.
Yes, please. Thank you for sharing that. I also was not in the group, but I have extreme passion about this issue and want to say like something I find challenging is that I think we're here in partnership and many of you are allied philanthropists, and this will be a good segue into our group, but I think sometimes the structure of grant writing, for example, and reporting actually takes great resources from nonprofits. And so, for example, like we don't have a development department, and so we're paying a grant writer by the hour and then using our limited staff time to do what are often what feel like sometimes overly complex grant writing and reporting needs, when there might be ways to like, and I know this has been tried before and that it didn't last, but like have certain questions that are standardized throughout the field so that they could be written and updated, and not have to, like, one funder wants you to talk about your theory of racial justice in 500 characters without spaces, and the other wants you to do it in 750 words, and the spaces don't count as characters, and can one even explain their theory of racial justice in 500 words, period, let alone have like different formulations of it, of different lens, but that's actually it's a capacity issue. It takes great energy and resources and investment of staff time and dollars and hired people to like, when there might be ways that actually allow us to focus more on mission critical work.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Yeah.
So for our last conversation, if you all can come up, the topic